Please rise for the arrival of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the invocation by Chaplain Major General William J. Dendinger, Chief of the Air Force Chaplain Service.
Let us pray to Almighty God on this great day. Today, Lord, as we celebrate 50 years of courage, loyalty, and willing sacrifice, we thank you for the dedication of Air Force personnel who daily place service before self. We are especially grateful to those who have given their lives in defense of freedom, and we reverently acknowledge their gift of life. Our heritage calls us to remember the past, to embrace this day of celebration, and to soar into the future, knowing your winds of tomorrow will sustain our flight. Filled with your grace and made bold by your wisdom, we now turn to the challenges and the opportunities of the next 50 years. This blessing we ask in your name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The United States Air Force Academy Cadet Chorale from Colorado Springs, under the direction of Dr. Joseph Galima, will now perform the Air Force Hymn. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Eric W. Benken.
Good afternoon. President Clinton, Secretary Cohen, Secretary Widnall, General Eberhart, Chaplain Dendinger, and distinguished guests. I am indeed honored to be a part of this tremendous milestone in our Air Force's history, its 50th anniversary. The English politician G.K. Chesterton said, "History is a hill or a high point from which we see the town in which we live or the age in which we are living. We are on the hill. We have a great view of our past, but more importantly, we are looking toward our future. Today is a day for celebrating our achievements and an opportunity for us to reflect on our past and to contemplate the dawning of a future that is bright. And the future is promising because we are a force made up of superb people, a dozen of whom are standing here before you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to present to you the United States Air Force's 1997 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year. From the 49th Maintenance Squadron at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, Master Sergeant Richard Acevedo. From the 331st Recruiting Squadron out of Maxwell Air Force Base, Alabama, Master Sergeant Randolph Fuller. From the Air Mobility Warfare Center at Fort Dix, New Jersey, Master Sergeant Benjamin C. Harper, Jr. From the Space and Missile Systems Center at Vandenberg Air Force Base, California, Master Sergeant David Pointkowski. From the 16th Security Forces Squadron at Hurlburt Field, Florida, Master Sergeant Paul A. Sikora, Jr. From Headquarters Air Force Reserve at Robbins Air Force Base, Georgia, Technical Sergeant Loretta Brown. From the 67th Intelligence Wing at Kelly Air Force Base, Texas, Technical Sergeant Susan K. Sangster. From the 51st Mission Support Squadron at Osan Air Base, Korea, Staff Sergeant David Vega, Jr. From the U.S. Air Force Special Investigations Academy at Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland, Staff Sergeant Tina Y. Wilson. From the 303rd Intelligence Squadron at Osan Air Base, Korea, Senior Airman Kenneth S. Holmes. From the 2nd Space Operations Squadron at Falcon Air Force Base, Colorado, Senior Airman Jennifer D. Cover. And finally, from the 4th Civil Engineering Squadron at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, North Carolina, Senior Airman Tricia B. Schaup. Ladies and gentlemen, our 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, General Ralph E. Eberhart, Vice Chief of Staff, United States Air Force.
What a great day. What a great day. Happy birthday, United States Air Force. Golden legacy, 50 years. From those very early days of military aviation here at Fort Myer, in fact, 89 years ago yesterday was the first military flight, to today, where our people are flying the skies over Bosnia, over Iraq, and in Korea, in missile silos, in Cheyenne Mountain, and flying satellites. What a golden legacy we have. And although today is about the past and all the great achievements of those on duty today and those who have gone before, and those on duty today, it's a total force, to include Air National Guard, Air Force Reserve, and our civilians. And as we celebrate our birthday, we couldn't possibly ask for a better present, for a more special day, than have the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense join us in this celebration. "50 years ago, our first Secretary, Secretary Symington, said, "The destiny of the United States rests on the development of the United States Air Force." We think that forecast is just as true today as it was 50 years ago. And although today we pause in celebration of the past, we want the President and the Secretary of Defense to know that that celebration will be brief, because our eyes are on the future. A future we truly believe is boundless. We know we have the strong support of the American people, the Congress, and the President. For as you all know, when the President took office, he said, "For as long as I am President, the men and women who wear our nation's uniforms will remain the best trained, the best prepared, the best equipped military force in the world." Sir, we thank you for your continued support. We assure you that with that support, we'll remain the world's most respected air and space force, and one day be the world's most respected space and air force. We thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Sheila E. Widnall, Secretary of the Air Force.
Thank you. First, I too want to thank President Clinton for taking time to be with us here this afternoon. The men and women of the Air Force, those present here and those throughout our nation and around the world, deeply appreciate you being here on our 50th birthday. Mr. President, Secretary Cohen, ladies and gentlemen, it is a wonderful day for the United States Air Force and for the nation. Today, our nation's military establishment is the finest in the world. And as the youngster on the block, we're proud of the part that we play with the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Coast Guard, keeping America free. I'm pleased to see my fellow service secretaries sitting right there in the front row to help us celebrate this birthday event. We look forward to the future and the part we will continue to play with the Joint Warfighting Team. We thank everyone here today from our sister services and the Department of Defense for sharing this special day with all those who proudly wear Air Force Blue. So I thank all those who made the 50th anniversary happen, from Lackland to Osan and Seymour Johnson to Incirlik. Indeed, all of their hard work has been prelude to this day, September 18th, 1997, and our week-long celebration. And what a celebration we've enjoyed. From the Air Force Association Annual Convention to the 50th Anniversary Concert, from the United States Postal Service Commemorative Stamp Ceremony to the emotive dedication of the Air Force Memorial Site at Arlington. We have celebrated the important role our air and space forces have played in securing this way of life we hold so dear. I'm also happy to have a number of previous Air Force secretaries and undersecretaries with us as a part of the 1997 Senior Executive Symposium. We truly stand on the shoulder of these giants who secured our golden legacy. So I can't think of a better way to celebrate. How many can say that the President came to their birthday party? So happy birthday, Air Force. And so, Mr. President, I'm very proud to be the Secretary of the finest Air Force in the world, and so very proud of the people who make up the greatest Air and Space Force in the world. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable William S. Cohen, Secretary of Defense.
President Clinton, Secretary Widnall, and General Eberhart, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, this is the largest group of people I've been able to attract since I became Secretary of Defense, and I'm delighted you could be here to share that with me. At the dawn of this century, on a windswept dune on a Carolina coast, a rickety structure of wire and wood took flight on gossamer wings and changed the world. And one who was present observed, it is beyond dispute that Wilbur Wright is in possession of a power that controls the fate of nations. And many years later, Neil Armstrong observed that what the Wright brothers were able to achieve on their first flight paved the way for his trip to the moon. And he said that their ability and their integrity were impressive by the standards of their day and of our own. They were both imaginative and pragmatic. They were the doers with dreams. Well, today we celebrate 50 years of dreams and courage and service. The C-54 crews who brought help and hope in the Berlin airlift, the Sabre pilots who challenged the MiGs over the Yalu River, the missile crews standing alert in their silent vigil, the fate of humanity in their steady hands through 50 frigid winters of the Cold War, the stealth pilots who slipped past Iraqi defenses to defeat a tyrant, the fighter bombers who soared over mist-shrouded mountains of Bosnia to snuff out the embers of war in the heart of Europe. We also celebrate 50 years of leadership from the NCO who leads the maintenance crews that keeps this Air Force flying, to the senior leaders, military and civilian, who have kept its legacy soaring. You have built an Air Force that would have astonished Hap Arnold when he was present at the creation of this powerful institution 50 years ago. So we're celebrating the Air Force of today, one that's shaping the world for the better, bringing more stability to more regions, more democracies to more nations, and thus fewer threats to American interests. It's an Air Force that looks over the horizon, the first to see the clouds of change and the coming of technology that's going to allow us to dominate the battlefield of the future. And I have seen the future in the eyes of the men and women who will lead this Air Force into the next century in this new era of American air power. It was a very proud and moving moment for me to address the Air Force Academy earlier this year and to shake the hands of all 750 freshly minted second lieutenants. And not even the skies that broke open with a torrent of rain could dampen the confidence and the pride that I felt when I looked into their bright, shining eyes and took their firm grips, knowing that the future of the Air Force and the security of our country are in the hands of the nation's best. And so it's a singular honor for me to be here today to participate in this golden anniversary, one which has been doubled by the presence of the Commander-in-Chief, who honors not only the Air Force, but all the men and women in uniform. President Clinton demonstrated once again, yesterday, his courage and commitment to America's military when he was willing to withstand the enormous international pressure and to hold his ground against signing a treaty that was well-meaning, but which would not have been in the best interests of our sons and daughters in uniform. And instead of taking the easy path, he did not only what was militarily necessary, but morally right, to provide for the protection of those who put their lives on the line every day to protect and defend us while ensuring that no harm would come to the innocent. And so it's a tremendous source of pride for me to serve a president whose deep caring for our troops and strong leadership has allowed this department to produce a military that is and will remain the envy of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, our Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Secretary Cohen, Secretary Widnall, General Eberhart, Chaplain Dendinger, Chief Benken, to the Air Force bands, the Air Force Academy Cadet Corral, the friends, the families, especially the men and women of the United States Air Force. I'm delighted to be here as we celebrate this 50th anniversary and of the best Air Force in the world. Secretary Widnall thanked me for coming to your 50th birthday party. Actually, I thank you for having me. Ever since I turned 50 myself, I've been looking for all the company I could find. And since I can't run for office anymore, Secretary Cohen, I'm glad to come here and have this crowd you raised for me. I appreciate it very much. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years ago, when our nation emerged from the crucible of World War II, we faced a political and military landscape that had been forever changed. Our European allies were devastated, the Iron Curtain was descending, the values for which we had fought so dearly seemed under siege from Europe to Asia. At that moment, only the United States had the strength to uphold the struggle for freedom around the world. And though our people were eager to turn their energies back home, we rose to the awesome responsibility at hand, creating the institutions that would protect our security and promote the cause of liberty and peace, and eventually enable us to prevail in the Cold War and enjoy the conditions that exist today, when for the first time in human history, more than one-half the people on this planet live under governments of their own choosing. In 1947, 50 years ago, the four essential players in that struggle came to life: the Central Intelligence Agency, the National Security Council, the Department of Defense, and the United States Air Force. For the record, I think it should be noted that President Truman signed this act aboard his so-called sacred cow, the C-54 presidential aircraft that served back then as Air Force One. In case you're wondering, President Truman was just like me. He didn't have an escape pod on his plane either. I might say, as long as the Air Force is flying me, I don't feel the need for a way out. "50 years later, our Air Force remains a world-class force without peer, thanks to the extraordinary men and women who serve in it. Your soaring spirit, your dedication, your skill have helped America to master the skies. You've made us more secure. You've made the world a safer place. We have seen your courage and expertise in time of war. We have seen your compassion and sacrifice in time of peace. We have seen the around-the-clock flights of the Berlin airlift. We saw you in Mig Valley in Korea. We saw the youngest humanitarian airlift in history during the war in Bosnia. We saw you in the skies over Baghdad in Desert Storm. And just a few days ago, we saw the 9 crew members of the C-141 perish off the coast of Africa after carrying a team of experts to help support our demining efforts in Namibia. We have seen you rise to the challenges of our time, from the development of the Air Expeditionary Forces that give me an invaluable tool in times of crisis, to last week's deployment of Commando solo aircraft to help prevent the enemies of peace in Bosnia from sabotaging the Dayton Agreement. We have seen your vision and commitment to excel as you sharpen your technological age to dominate the battlefields of the future. And perhaps most important, we see in the 12 outstanding Airmen of the Year the best traditions, the best hope, and the brightest future of the Air Force, the leadership and talent and dedication that make you second to none. I want you to know, on behalf of all Americans, I am proud of them and proud of all of you who serve in the United States Air Force. To the pilots, the flight crews, the Red Horse engineers, the technicians, the security police, the space and missile operators, to all who contribute to the strength of America in the skies, and to all the families who support you, our nation is profoundly grateful. Today is a well-earned day of celebration for your golden legacy of achievement. But as you know better than anyone, there is never a day of rest. We pay tribute to the last 50 years with the determination to look to our Air Force men and women to help us meet the challenges of the next 50 years. We know we can always count on you. We always have. Aim high and reach for new horizons. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, a member of the United States Air Force Honor Guard will now light 5 candles on the main ceremonial cake symbolically representing the 5 decades of the Air Force's golden legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, please join the United States Air Force Academy Cadet Chorale and the United States Air Force Band High Flight as they sing those old familiar words, "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Air Force, happy birthday to you." Ladies and gentlemen, the official party and the 12 outstanding airmen of 1997 will now cut the ceremonial birthday cakes. Ladies and gentlemen, we will conclude today's ceremony with the Air Force song.
Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. With a drum to lead our thunder, and a voice in the gun. And behind stands a flame from under, off the road. We live and play, we're down in rain. Hey, nothing's up the U.S. Air Force.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you very much for attending. Cake and coffee are now available behind you and at locations on the side of the center courtyard. The Air Force Band High Flight will be performing momentarily. Please stay and enjoy the festivities and have a fine Air Force Day.